The sky is streaked with pixelated lightning as a squad of blocky villagers frantically crafts enchanted boom-boomers, exploding fishing rods. Because the annual Creeper Council just declared World Peace Day is officially Creeper Explosion Day. Chaos erupts instantly as every bomb-tossing villager accidentally blows up their own meticulously built houses in a frenzy of friendly fire and confused apologies. Welcome to the most bewildering, wonderfully destructive festivity in all of Minecraftia, where peace is maintained, ironically, through the artful deployment of chaos. In this world, where aliens have seeded their own brand of prank-fueled architecture, every block tells a story, every creeper conceals a trick, and every villager is a hapless agent of anarchic goodwill. At the center of this whirlwind of nonsense stands Glom, a lanky, neon-green villager with an oversized head fashioned from the rarest emerald block, crowned by suspiciously twitchy antennae that hum faintly, as if powered by cosmic giggles. Glom is not your usual villager. He has been appointed the official chaos coordinator for this madcap annual celebration, which means he not only encourages mayhem, he must also somehow contain the fallout, or at least pretend to. Clad in a shimmering DIY spacesuit crafted from lapis lazuli and sprinkled with redstone dust for extra chaotic sparkle, Glom rushes from one exploding market stall to another, dodging stray fireworks that hurl themselves into the sky in joyous rebellion. The festival's origins, shrouded in pixelated myth, recall the great alien prank of 9232 Beta Chi, when extraterrestrials first invaded a town called Boomville with a delivery of comics, chaos, and a suspiciously volatile stockpile of TNT disguised as candy. The villagers, unable to resist the allure of unpredictability, adopted an annual ritual of madness that culminates in this very day. One part celebration, one part explosive therapy session. Glom's antennae flick in excitement as he watches a firework rocket spiral wildly before plunging into a suspiciously fragile bakery, sending a shower of blocky breadcrumbs cascading like confetti over startled customers. No one minds. It's all in the spirit of crazy camaraderie. Nearby, a gang of tiny skeleton pranksters skitter on bony legs, tossing luminescent slime balls that giggle upon impact, causing sudden fits of hiccups or spontaneous jazz hands. The usually rigid villagers wobble awkwardly, their pixelated arms flailing in unintentional dance moves that only add to the frenetic pace of destruction and joy. One elder villager, bedecked in a robe embroidered with glowstone threads, attempts to light an oversized candle made from hardened redstone dust. It promptly backfires, releasing a cloud of smoke tinted pink, which drifts dramatically over the cheering crowd, adding an obligatory touch of mystery to the proceedings behind Glom. The village's central square unravels into a battlefield of friendly fire and slapstick misfires. Exploding fishing rods ricochet unpredictably, knocking helmets askew and scattering stacks of hay into the hungry mouths of well-armed chickens. Squawks rise above the din as feathered factions riot over the spoils of sudden meal casualties, pecking frantically at the students of chaos attempting to wrangle the situation. Meanwhile, an overly ambitious creeper dressed like a royal herald accidentally triggers its own fuse, sending itself flying headfirst into a cake stall, resulting in frosting splatters that briefly dress several participants in neon green icing. Note to self, mutters Glom under his breath, never trust a creeper with a dignified title. The village blacksmith, a burly, blocky fellow named Thrax, is not immune to the madness. With a hammer almost as big as his entire cuboid torso, he attempts to forge a new batch of enchanted boom-boomers, fishing rods that double as explosive devices. Yet every strike against the anvil creates not just a shower of sparks, but also a random, unpredictable effect. A sudden burst of confetti here, an embarrassing fart noise there, or a pop-up hologram of an alien circus act that vanishes in a pixelated puff of smoke. Thrax lets out an exasperated laugh and shrugs at Glom. At least the chaos is consistent. He grunts, wiping spark-bitten soot from his blocky brow. Suddenly, a bizarre shadow crosses the pixelated moon. A blobby, four-eyed alien drone lazily floating over the festival, projecting mysterious holographic messages in an ancient code no villager understands, but all pretend is highly important. Glom squints up at the drone. Ah, our extraterrestrial overlord's version of a Yelp review, he jokes dryly. 5 stars for creativity, but 1 star for demolition efficiency. The drone emits a series of indecipherable beeps and wobbles slightly before swooping down and dropping a crate labeled, in bold, glittering letters, random chaos devices, for maximum prank efficiency. The crate bursts open, showering the area with odd gadgets. Exploding pies, teleporting potions, and prank blocks that sneakily swap places with unsuspecting players. The villagers seize these tools with gleeful abandon. Some rig their own houses with self-triggered booby traps, while others form impromptu alliances to orchestrate giant, synchronized explosions across the town square. The result is an orchestrated symphony of destruction, punctuated by booming laughter and the occasional bewildered oops. As unintended targets get caught in the crossfire, one young villager accidentally launches a prank block into Glom's helmet, instantly swapping his head with a confused chicken's, leaving him squawking furiously while the crowd roars in delighted disbelief. Not my best look, he mutters through the feathery mask, clutching his glowing antennae. As the early night deepens, glowing creepers, decorated with fairy lights and carrying miniature trumpets, begin their parade, winding through the smoky haze left behind by endless explosions. Each creeper pops rhythmically, not to harm, but to produce bizarre musical notes, turning destruction into oddly melodic chaos. It's both terrifying and strangely beautiful. Glom stands at the edge of the square, watching explosions bloom like pixelated flowers and laughter echo through the blocky hills. The villagers, despite their battered houses and singed eyebrows, revel in this shared madness, bound by the fleeting moment of absurd peace wrought through wild mischief. Just when it seems the festival might settle into a temporary lull, a sudden, colossal explosion caves a crater in the ground right beneath Glom's boots. He leaps aside, heart racing, as a plume of multicolored smoke ascends with the unmistakable scent of burnt marshmallow and glitchy electricity. Out of the crater crawls a new strange visitor, an alien prankster, one of the architects behind this Minecraft calamity universe, their blocky chrome skin gleaming under the pixel moonlight. They grin widely, revealing a mouthful of perfectly cubic teeth and a tiny device that looks suspiciously like a whoopee cushion scanner. The jokester waves a spindly arm, causing the floating drone to dip lower and emit a series of enthusiastic chirps. Welcome to the real chaos, the alien declares in a voice that sounds like funhouse echoes through a tin can. You think this is madness? Wait until we turn Minecraft into our intergalactic prank playground. Glom, still catching his breath from the near-miss explosion, straightens his patchwork spacesuit and nods with a mix of dread and exhilaration. Oh great, he mutters, as if Creeper Explosion Day wasn't enough. And with that, the stage is set for a descent into even weirder, wilder chaos. Because when aliens build Minecraft worlds, normal rules do not apply. The prank has only just begun. The crisp, pixelated sky suddenly erupted in a kaleidoscope of exploding colors, the official kickoff of the explosive festival. Imagine the blocky heavens, usually a serene gradient from blue to purple nights, now shattered by bursts of square-shaped fireworks spattering fizzling sparks like toxic confetti. Across a sprawling, jagged alien-built Minecraft plane, the landscape throbbed with an electric buzz, as if the very dirt blocks held their breath in chaotic anticipation. And at the eye of this digital maelstrom stood Zogtron, an improbably lanky neon-green alien with a crooked antenna twitching in rhythm to the crackling chaos. His wide, pixelated eyes reflected the kaleidoscope above, each color a promise of mayhem. Zogtron, the self-appointed chief prank director of this festival, wore a smirk that stretched so far it threatened to crash his cubic jawline's integrity. His task: to orchestrate the most chaotic, laugh-out-loud, head-scratching series of world-shaking pranks the Minecraft world had ever seen, or more accurately, ever was. With a ceremonial push of a giant, suspiciously red button labeled "Do Not Press," he ignited the first spectacle that would shatter reality like a creeper at a glass shop. The ground trembled as a sudden explosion sent pixelated dirt blocks soaring like oversized popcorn kernels. But this was no ordinary bang. Out popped a brigade of blocky rubber chickens, flapping their stiff, cubic wings furiously. They struck the air with an absurd squawk that sounded suspiciously like moose salad. An alien pranksters in joke that none of the Minecraft creatures appreciated, but all secretly found hilarious. The chickens began a synchronized dance on the exploding dirt. Left, right, spin. The kind of choreography that must have involved many failed reheats of pixelated tofu. Their clumsy, pirouetting triggered a chain reaction of laughter and alarm. Nearby, pixelated villagers poked out from their tiny vitamin D-deprived wooden houses, eyes wide as melon blocks, while their blocky mouths twisted into bemused grins. One particularly brave villager shouted, "Is this some kind of rubber poultry offensive?" before ducking into a building that promptly transformed into a giant bouncing jack-in-the-box, springing him directly into a pit of pixelated pudding. The pudding quivered, a strange phenomenon in this universe, where normally the laws of physics preferred simple block solidity, and giggled ominously. The villagers' confusion, promptly amplified by the quivering pudding, sparked a level of chaos equivalent to a creeper sneezing in a library. The festival unfolded like a surreal dreamscape made by alien mischief geniuses on a sugar high. Every few moments, Zogtron would unleash gadgets of his own invention. One was a cuboid device named the Prankulator 3000, which could suddenly swap the gravity on any block it touched. Suddenly, entire forests of pixelated oak trees whipped themselves upside down, their leaves digging absurdly into bedrock like green mustaches. Deforestation, more like leaf reformation, Zogtron quipped with a wink so forceful it nearly dislodged one of his antennae. Not far off, a blocky river shouted its disbelief. The water was animated in such a way that each wave looked like a startled fish face locked in eternal surprise. Zogtron aimed the Prankulator 3000, and the river promptly reversed, flowing backwards while glinting with shocking bubble-gum pink hues. The fish faces seemed to giggle along, the ripples blowing raspberry bubbles up into the air. This confounded nearby pig mobs into a frenzy. The pigs, usually content with their simple mud-soaked lives, suddenly started wearing tiny, suspiciously well-fitted leather jackets and sunglasses. They paraded down a makeshift runway, literally a runway made of hay bales, exuding a confidence previously unseen in the swine population. "Who invited the mobsters?" one bewildered villager muttered. Zogtron only grinned and replied, "The mob are the VIPs of chaos elsewhere. The festival grounds morphed dynamically." Blocky hills haphazardly popped into existence, then folded like an accordion, creating waves of dizzying terrain that sent unwary explorers into pixelated somersaults. A mushroom biome blossomed into a bouncing fortress, where the caps inflated like giant beach balls, launching attackers into the pixel sky with enormous boing. Sounds reminiscent of retro video game noise effects. It was a gravitide-fying, mushroom-flinging fiesta, and the aliens who built it chuckled like cosmic jesters watching from their spaceship cockpits, which suspiciously resembled oversized emerald blocks slowly rotating in the background. Zogtrons pranking wasn't just about physical chaos, but social chaos too. A sudden outbreak of confusion clouds drifted through the air, lavender wisps that, when inhaled, caused nearby mobs and villagers to swap roles in ways that made little sense even within Minecraft's already silly logic. Creepers began acting like merchants, wheeling and dealing pixelated dynamite for discounted enchanted swords. Skeletons took up farming, awkwardly planting seeds with their bony fingers, then promptly lighting them on fire in a panicked attempt at crop improvement. Meanwhile, the blocky villagers suddenly sprouted tiny bow and arrow kits, flinging arrows at their own fences in aggressive, yet clearly performance-oriented, displays of archery skills. One standout scene involved a nervous chicken named Cluckles, who accidentally puffed a confusion cloud and transformed into a walking, mooing cow with feathers. He waddled around confused, trying to lay eggs as he mooed plaintively. Another chicken accidentally became a pixel zombie villager, spouting unintelligible grunts. Status. Bugged out, an LED sign flickered above the chicken's head. Nearby, a creeper, startled by its sudden merchant status, attempted to sell a mysterious time cube, which anyone who touched promptly transformed into a wiggling block of gelatinous slime. The slime formed words, "Buy more chaos." Zogtron clapped proudly at this ingenious bit of mayhem, but not all pranks went according to plan. In one beautifully ironic twist, Zogtron's own trusty teleportation trap, meant to shuffle the location of festival attendees randomly, thereby maximizing disorder, malfunctioned spectacularly when its circuitry was shorted by a rainstorm of squishy red pixel tomatoes. Instead of teleporting participants, it turned everyone's heads into oversized spinning cubes of cheese. The effect was undeniably hilarious, but utterly inconvenient. The ostracized cheese head villagers tried to shout anti-cheese slogans, but only managed to squeak like rubber ducks due to misplaced sound blocks. Zogtron muttered, "Well, some sacrifices must be made for comedy." This unexpected glitch spawned the festival's first official cheese head parade, with participants rolling down hills and giggling uncontrollably. The festival's bizarre ambience was heightened by an omnipresent soundtrack of alien kazoo orchestras and sudden, strangely apt sound effects like boink, pop, and ack, woven into the atmosphere. Floating holographic signs frequently appeared and disappeared, announcing events like Moss Block Mayhem, Catch the Creepers, or Invisible Potion Pong, where the winner is nobody. These whimsical distractions ensured no mind was ever allowed to rest, creating a sensory overload on par with a redstone-powered disco gone haywire. At the heart of this eccentric madness stood the alien architects, massive, blocky extraterrestrials wearing huge goggles and smocks dotted with paint splatters. They flitted around the festival in tiny pixel jetpacks, occasionally dropping randomly generated prank blocks that warped the landscape in deliciously unexpected ways. One prank block triggered spontaneous karaoke battles between unsuspecting mobs, complete with flashy neon musical notes and absurdly high-pitched auto-tune. Another block caused entire villages to start randomly swapping professions mid-sentence. Farmers became blacksmiths. Blacksmiths suddenly attempted enchanting books while marveling at their own confusion, and librarians shuffled books onto their heads like pixel-crowned Zogtron, energized by the mounting chaos, unveiled the festival's piece de resistance, the Grand Chaos Prism, a gigantic spinning cube forged from countless vibrantly glowing blocks that hummed with unpredictable energy. Its surface rippled as it projected pranks in real time, like a three-dimensional TV channel devoted exclusively to hilarious mishaps. The prism's spell-bent realities around it. Sheep began to bounce uncontrollably, painting the world with streaks of wool lava flows and water streams waltzed together without mixing. Even the sun and moon swapped roles, with the sun taking awkward, shy naps behind blocky mountains, while the moon blazed eagerly in the daytime, giving night owls an unexpected caffeine boost. As the festival reached a chaotic crescendo, Zogtron stood on the highest block of his prank tower, antennae flicking furiously, surveying the pandemonium below. A distant explosion sent pixel chickens ascending in a perfect spiral, while villagers in cheese heads rolled past like festive boulders. He turned to a camera-like cube floating nearby and declared with exaggerated seriousness, "In a universe powered by chaos and pranks, order is just a humorous suggestion." A mischievous twinkle danced in his eye as the scene faded, cracking open a portal shimmering with potential pandemonium. Little did Zogtron know, the real chaos, the one he hadn't quite planned for, was just about to hack its way into the explosive festival. But that, as they say, is a story for part 3. The dawn cracked open over the pixelated horizon like a neon blast, setting the stage for the explosive festival, the glittering centerpiece of this alien-crafted chaos realm. Blocky fireworks erupted in crooked spirals, some fizzing out into showers of tiny critters that hopped and chirped before vanishing into thin air, others bursting into swirling glyphs that spelled nonsense in no known language, adding a little cryptic flair to the madness. In the shadow of gigantic cuba-shaped skyscrapers, crusted with iridescent slime and fluctuating light panels, the festival grounds throbbed with kinetic energy, as if the very world was about to sneeze itself into a different dimension. Here, the alien architects had melded Minecraft's geometry with their own twisted sense of humor, and chaos was the gridlocked currency everyone had come to trade in Meet Zlabnox, a lanky, threed trickster from the MZRCHA sector, who prided himself on being infamous even by intergalactic prankster standards. His head sported a tangled mass of antenna tufts that jittered whenever a prank was nearby, which was all the time. Clad in a patchwork jumpsuit patched from the skins of defeated Minecraft mobs, Zlabnox had one agenda: to ignite the explosive festival with a spectacle so reckless that even the rigid aliens in charge would squint in dubious admiration. His current tool of choice, a blocky, discoin-fused TNT capsule that hummed a catchy, plinking tune every time it bounced. The festival officially kicked off with a moment no one saw coming, a guffaw from the skies, literally. A massive disc-shaped craft, festooned with blinking LED smiles, descended just above the sprawling crowd. Holograms flickered out of its underbelly, projecting neon clowns juggling pixelated creepers who exploded into confetti finished with baby sound effects. The crowd, an eclectic mix of block-visaged creatures and wandering NPCs, howled with laughter, or whatever the cuboid version of laughter is, a jittering of vertexes and streaming sparkles. Amidst this frenzied welcome, Zlabnox found the perfect launchpad. A towering cake monument constructed entirely from lava cakes, each layer dangerously unsteady, and an obvious accident waiting to happen. Literally a few blocks away, a gang of oddly-shaped sheep accidentally bumped the base, causing the whole confection to wobble realistically. With a mischievous grin, Zlabnox pressed a rune on the disco TNT, and it shot off like a rocket, trailing a flurry of pixelated disco balls and farting slime orbs. It was the universal signal for pranks to escalate. The TNT zipped into the cake's wobble, and for a moment, nothing happened besides an unsettling quiet that suggested that yes, maybe this time it had gone too far. Then the cake erupted, sending a sticky lava cascade washing over the excited crowd. But instead of scorching scorched pixels, the lava morphed into liquid rubber, bouncing every poor festival goer like pinballs in a bizarre pachinko machine. The crowd's panicked bounces synced perfectly with the techno beat blaring from invisible sound cubes tucked beneath the grass blocks. Zlabnox laughed so hard one of his antennae twitched a spark, accidentally triggering another round of slime orbs that slipped around like spilled banana peels. Amid the chaos, a peculiar figure emerged from beneath a giant pixel sun umbrella. It was the festival moderator, a drone-shaped watcher with a bossy voice synthesized in calming excess. A cube with eyes narrower than a creeper's temper, and an array of little arms that flailed like a glitchy octopus. No pranking past official limits. It chirped sharply, but its voice was drowned out by the sudden arrival of the next spectacle, the Great Explosive Parade. Parade floats crafted from obsidian blocks lumbered forward, each more ridiculous than the last. One was a gigantic purple parrot spewing tiny fireworks from its beak, while another was a rolling cake decorated with living, bouncing pink sheep wearing spectacles that glowed with suspicious intelligence. The sheep looked utterly delighted, which googlyed NPCs interpreted as a sign of good luck, and immediately tried to mount them, only to be spun off comically in a burst of confetti. Zilabnox slipped through the parade like a shadow made of static noise, still clutching his disco TNT. He glanced at the unsuspecting NPC crowd and whispered, "Let's crank this joy to 11." He hurled the capsule into the center of a candy-coated, bouncing float shaped like the morung, a legendary alien beast resembling a purple llama crossed with a blender. The TNT bounced inside the hollow beast just as it passed over a pit of slime pits, and the explosion that followed wasn't fiery. It unleashed waves of pranking magic that rewrote reality around them. Suddenly, cubes turned into little rubber chickens, gravity quirking left to right like a hungover moon, and nearby villagers developed uncontrollable twitching spells that made their arms flail like they were trying to conduct an invisible Minecraft symphony. The chaos wasn't just physical. Time itself began to stutter in the festival square. Blocks blinked in and out of existence. Creepers started dancing the cha-cha. Even the festival moderator's arms seized up mid-scolding, twitching rhythmically like a synth DJ under a glitch spell. Instead of reprimanding Zilabnox, the mod repeated, "No pranks passed," "No pranks passed" in an endless loop, which only fueled the madness. At this exact moment, Zilabnox noticed something truly odd. The lava rubber bouncing was becoming contagious. A group of obviously serious builders in diamond armor tried to negotiate festival rules, but ended up bouncing as if their boots were made of springs. Even a pixelated dog caught the bouncing bug, snapping its jaws comically at nothing in midair, before doing a perfect triple flip dot in a turn of ironic storytelling. The festival's main stage suddenly morphed into a giant, squawking rubber duck. It swung its wings, splashing spectators with invisible quacks that felt suspiciously like a sudsy shampoo commercial. A blocky choir of NPCs with questionable singing skills shuffled onto the duck's back, belting the festival's unofficial anthem, a catchy, slightly off-key number about chaos and cake. Behind this absurd performance, spectators, registered festival goers, and wandering mobs alike began to notice a shimmering rift opening up at the horizon. The crackling of unstable pixels was growing louder, promising the next phase. Something far more explosive and unpredictable than bouncing rubber lava or dancing creepers. As Zilabnox surveyed the scene, antennae flicking nervously, but with excitement, he realized the aliens had planned this all-out chaos festival not just as entertainment, but as a test. Were the Minecraft players and their blocky worlds ready for a level of chaos that could rewrite Minecraft physics and, presumably, sanity? Would the pranks break the code of the universe or knit the blocky realm tighter in its absurdity? He chuckled, wiping a slime goo bead off his square chin. Let's hope they brought more than fire-resistant boots, he muttered with every bounce, zap, and rubber-timed explosion. The festival was transforming into a living meme, unpredictable, ridiculous, and undeniably mesmerizing. The explosive festival had not merely begun, it had detonated. And while the players laughed, bounced, and pranked, the looming rift whispered a dark promise. The chaos was far from over. Next up, the real fireworks, ones that might just scramble the very blocks under their feet. And with that uneasy thought hanging in the festive air like a rogue TNT primed to blow, the camera pans away from the joyful madness, pulling back to reveal the entire Minecraft world beneath the aliens' watchful, twitching eyes, ready for the next act of cosmic prankery. The sun, pixel-perfect and square, hung just above the horizon, casting a blocky orange glow over the sprawling chaos that was the explosive festival kickoff in this alien-crafted Minecraft world. Imagine a land where vibrant purples and electric greens clash like misplaced neon signs, sprinkled with the occasional thundercloud shaped like a grinning creeper. Only this time, it rumbled not with rain, but with the laughter of mischievous extraterrestrials. At the heart of it all, Zagran the prankster stood atop a tower constructed from unstable TNT blocks, his multi-eyed head rotating slowly as he surveyed the pandemonium below. His antenna twitched with anticipation. Tonight wasn't just any prank day, it was the pinnacle, the grand crescendo of chaos, set to explode like a well-timed creeper ambush. Festival's kickoff began with a bang, literally. Not just any bang, but a carefully orchestrated chain reaction that sent a series of slime blocks launching flaming pies into the air. Pie bits sizzled and popped before landing on unsuspecting alien villagers, whose pixelated skin bubbled and brightened with every sugary hit, turning them various shades of neon pastel. Nearby, a choir of Endermen, those usually solemn teleporting creatures, broke into a dissonant chorus of off-key robotic chirps. The wilderness was alive with the ever-shifting clinks and clatters of prank machines, pistons firing at random intervals, dispensers flicking spaghetti-like strings of redstone wire at passers-by, and sneaky little silverfish popping out like surprise party guests from corners no sane builder would ever check twice. Zagran grinned, almost cartoonishly. Chaos, he muttered in a voice like crushed gravel mixed with bubble wrap, is the highest form of art. His words were hardly lost in the cascade of cacophony swirling through the festival grounds. Balloons shaped like exploding TNT blocks bounced above the crowd, tethered to squid-poured carts that glided erratically, occasionally dropping buckets of water onto bystanders. The soaked but unbothered villagers simply shrugged, their pixelated hair spiking upright as if turned into electrical fuses by the unexpected showers. Across the field, Rena, the festival's token human attendee and all-around accidental hero, ducked under a canopy woven from enchanted cobwebs. The sticky strands pulled at her blocky, pixelated clothes, threatening to entangle her fully, but she was nimble. Her eyes darted nervously as she balanced a suspiciously wiggling block of dynamite on her shoulder. "One wrong step and I am toast," she mumbled, city-eyeing the grinning aliens who juggled sharply pointed obsidian spikes like they were harmless fruit. Her mission was clear but dangerous. Deliver the secret explosive ingredient that would kick the festival from traditionally chaotic into legendary pandemonium. Suddenly, a shrill whistle cut through the madness. Zagran leapt from his TNT tower, landing with a comedic puff of pixelated smoke that smelled faintly like burnt marshmallows. "The time has come," he declared, waving a glowing block that pulsed with unpredictable energy. This block, known among the prankster aliens as the Chaos Core, was a swirling vortex of unpredictable algorithms and coded mischief. Like if someone shoved a randomized texture pack into a black hole and let it stew until unstable. When activated, it promised to reboot the entire map with new rules, unleashing glitches, gravity warps, and prank physics on an unprecedented scale. The crowd oohed. Well, those creatures capable of making such sounds did. And the block buzzed, radiating zapping light beams in all directions. Rena sprinted closer, the dynamite block in her arms vibrating softly as if it too sensed the impending explosion of madness. Nearby, an unusually spry pig donut vendor tripped over a banana peel, scattering floating sugar cubes like confetti. "Hold on tight," Rena whispered to herself, ducking to avoid a random lava geyser shooting from the ground, a prank that was apparently going terribly right. Unexpectedly, the Chaos Core blinked twice and then flickered like a glitchy screen, stirring up the verdant grass around it. Suddenly, the earth exploded. Out burst hundreds of prank mobs, all built from mismatched pixel parts that defied natural Minecraft logic. A Pigzambierabit hybrid with eyeballs the size of anvils bounced wildly, pursued by a swarm of lightning-grod chickens that clucked in perfect, sardonic rhythm. Nearby trees uprooted themselves, opting instead to dance on their stumps, shaking leaves like they were trying to shake off invisible snow. The horizon filled with bizarre structures, flying forts with upside-down moats, floating islands that occasionally blinked out of existence, and rivers that flowed backward with eerie, glitching fish who appeared to blame the spectator for their aquatic dilemma. Zagran cackled. Behold, the fruit of alien prank science. His body was now shimmering with electric colors as he danced atop the chaos, his TNT tower collapsing behind him in a slow-motion reel of exploding blocks. Rena, scrambling to keep up, noticed her dynamite had begun morphing. What was a simple block had split into dozens of mini dynamite sprites, each pirouetting wildly before shooting into the pranking mobs. Each tiny explosion birthed absurd new challenges. One moment slapstick rain of exploding slime, the next, sudden reverse gravity that sent all festival-goers airborne, except for a strategically placed layer of sticky honey blocks, which made the airborne stuck ones hilariously bounce like trapped rubber balls. The hilarious horror of the scene was only heightened by the alien DJ squad, who had set up spinning discs resembling enchanted nether stars, but instead dropped metaphorical bass bombs that caused the spectators' pixelated limbs to swing uncontrollably in what could only be described as a manic rave dance. We interrupt this broadcast for a sudden outbreak of disco zombie mobs. A Blocky announcer intoned, his voice crackling through a nearby Blocky loudspeaker that just happened to be spray-painted with "Property of Chaos Inc. Amid the Pandemonium." Rena found herself face-to-face with a particularly cheeky alien. 3 eyes, 6 fingers on each hand, and a grin that would frighten aghast. It held out a pie, squiggling with glowing neon cream. "Eat," it suggested, voice warped like an audio glitch. She hesitated and then shrugged, biting into what turned out to be a stretchy, teleporting pie that instantly whisked her several seconds into the future. Landing in midair, she caught herself on a nearby vine, dizzy but unscathed. Future Repi seemed to be by far the least dangerous prank. Unlike the sudden rain of exploding anvils crashing down as collateral joke damage across the festival. Meanwhile, the festival's grand fireworks, officially called the Galactic Kaboom, began their ascent, but thanks to the chaotic influence of the core, instead of a graceful blaze of lights, the fireworks shape-shifted midair into floating creeper-shaped puppies, launching themselves straight toward the excited crowd. Panic turned into laughter when the puppies neatly exploded into glitter and puppy squeals, simultaneously adorable and explosive. Zagran's wide grin widened further. Pranks harnessed to chaos, the ultimate art form. He roared as shards of pixelated stars rained down in a colorful storm, each star imprinting tiny, giggling prank gremlins that scattered to spread more mischief. The landscape around them warped, a living, breathing prank itself. Grass hummed with the unexpected electric buzz of a sudden quiz. Did you remember to laugh? Boulders spontaneously burst into soap suds and floated away as if they were light balloons. The air tasted faintly of bubblegum-flavored chaos, sticky and sweet, but with an undeniable undercurrent of mayhem. Rena paused, breath catching between chuckles and gasps. Only in a world crafted by prank-happy aliens could exploding puppies and time-travel pies be the norm, she muttered. Suddenly, the chaos core began to pulse faster as the festival maxed out on ludicrous energy, shaking the very pixels beneath them. Warning, intoned Zagran mysteriously, too much chaos may cause. Universe reboot. A hush fell, immediately shattered by a surprise geyser of neon slime drenching everyone. Rena looked at the playful insanity surrounding her, all unpredictable and gleefully broken. Was this madness? Or was it the purest freedom, block by block? As the last pieces of the exploding festival floated into the pastel evening sky, Rena found herself laughing uncontrollably, her voice melding with the alien choir's glitchy song and the endless carnival of pranks. Here, in this alien-crafted Minecraft universe, chaos wasn't destruction, it was creation. It was laughter in digital form, a cosmic joke with infinite punchlines, woven into every block, every bounce, every surprise. And so, as the pixel sun set on the world of prank-parred pandemonium, One thought flickered in Rena's mind like a neon beacon. What if chaos wasn't just uncontrolled mayhem, but the universe's way of inviting everyone to dance in the absurd, the unpredictable, and the joyfully explosive unknown? The festival wasn't just an event. It was an anthem, glitching and gleaming, reminding us all that sometimes the best worlds are the ones built with a wink, a prank, and a whole lot of explosive laughter.